What if I told you that in a world overflowing with noise, the most powerful tool you have is silence? The art of holding your tongue, especially in critical moments, can shape your destiny more profoundly than any action or word. Imagine the strength that comes from mastering the urge to speak when emotions run high, from maintaining calm while others lose control. Stoicism, that ancient philosophy cherished by great thinkers like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, teaches us that sometimes the most impactful thing you can do is say nothing. But when is silence more powerful than words? How can keeping your mouth shut lead to a more peaceful and resilient life? In today's exploration of Stoicism, we'll uncover 9 situations where feigning muteness is not just a strategy, it's a necessity. These aren't just theoretical ideas, they're practical transformative principles that you can apply to your everyday life. Each of these situations presents an opportunity to embrace the profound wisdom of Stoicism, where self-mastery, emotional resilience, and inner peace reign. So are you ready to dive deep into this ancient philosophy and discover the true power of silence? Let's embark on this journey together, where each scenario we discuss will sharpen your mind and strengthen your soul. 1. Handling insults. Silence as a shield. We've all been there. Someone hurls a cutting remark, insults your character, or publicly demeans you. What's your first instinct? Most of us feel a wave of defensiveness or anger rise within us, pushing us to respond, to defend ourselves. But ask yourself, what do you gain by responding? Does retaliation give you peace, or does it pull you into the very negativity the insult intended to provoke? In the world of Stoicism, the teachings of Epictetus guide us in such moments. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This simple yet profound insight reminds us that an insult, by itself, holds no power. It is our reaction to it that can either harm us or leave us unscathed. If we choose silence, we strip the insult of its ability to hurt us. Silence becomes a shield, an impenetrable fortress protecting our inner calm. When we are insulted, our ego is often what feels most wounded, but Stoicism encourages us to examine that response. Why should someone else's words have the power to disturb our peace? Are their words a reflection of who we truly are, or merely a projection of their own insecurities? By asking these questions, we begin to see the insult for what it is, meaningless unless we give it meaning. Imagine standing in the midst of a storm of insults, yet feeling completely unaffected. Like a solid rock amidst the turbulent sea, you remain firm, unshaken by the waves crashing around you. This is the essence of Stoic silence. It is not passive, it is active, deliberate, and powerful. Your silence communicates something far stronger than words. That you are above the petty judgments of others, that your sense of self-worth is not dictated by external opinions. Consider the life of Cato the Younger, a prominent Stoic philosopher who was often ridiculed and insulted by his political opponents. Did he engage in petty arguments or defend himself against every accusation? Number. He remained silent, choosing instead to live by his principles. His silence was not a sign of weakness, but a demonstration of his inner strength. Cato understood that the value of a person lies in their actions, not in the judgments of others. Now think about your own life. How often have you allowed the words of others to disturb your peace? What would happen if, the next time you were insulted, you simply chose silence? Could you find the strength within to let go of the need to defend yourself, trusting that your character speaks louder than any insult? As we move forward, consider how Stoic silence might transform your approach to the other challenges we face in life. But first, let us explore how gossip, another common human experience, can be overcome with the same mastery of silence. 2. Navigating gossip, silence as a reflection of strength. Gossip is like wildfire. Once it starts, it spreads uncontrollably, igniting negativity wherever it touches. We've all encountered situations where rumors and idle talk can pull us into a vortex of unnecessary drama. But here's a question. What happens when you refuse to feed that fire? What if, instead of adding fuel to the gossip, you choose silence? In Stoicism, gossip is seen as a waste of energy, an indulgence that detracts from a life of virtue. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us to focus on what we can control: our actions, our thoughts, and our reactions. Gossip, by its very nature, focuses on things outside our control, the lives, choices, and actions of others. So why engage in it? Why allow yourself to be swept away by the words of others? When we participate in gossip, we lose a bit of our integrity. We allow our peace to be disturbed by external events, by things that don't concern us. Stoicism teaches that true strength lies not in speaking, but in maintaining composure and restraint. By choosing silence, you send a clear message that you are not swayed by the petty conversations of the crowd, that your focus remains on your own path. But this isn't just about moral superiority. Silence in the face of gossip protects your inner peace. Consider this. Have you ever left a conversation filled with gossip, feeling drained or unsettled? It's because gossip, while it may feel satisfying in the moment, ultimately sows seeds of negativity in our minds. Stoic wisdom urges us to guard our peace fiercely, to let go of things that are not within our control, especially the words and actions of others. Seneca, another great Stoic thinker, once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This can be applied to gossip as well. Engaging in idle talk stems from a craving for more validation, more attention, more excitement. But by remaining silent, you demonstrate that you are complete within yourself. You don't need the validation that comes from participating in gossip. Your worth is independent of the drama swirling around you. Now, reflect for a moment. How often do you find yourself swept up in conversations about others? What would change in your life if, the next time gossip arose, you simply chose to listen without contributing? Could you walk away, content in your silence, knowing that you've maintained your integrity? As we journey deeper into the lessons of Stoicism, remember that silence is not just the absence of sound. It is a deliberate choice, a reflection of inner strength. In the next section, we'll explore how this strength applies when dealing with unjust criticism, a challenge we all face at some point. 3. Unjust criticism, the power of silent confidence. Criticism can sting, especially when it feels unwarranted or unfair. You've put in the effort, acted with good intentions, and yet someone judges or misinterprets your actions. The immediate urge is to defend yourself, to explain why the criticism is wrong. But here's the question. Does defending yourself really bring you peace? Or does it entangle you further in a web of conflict and misunderstanding? In Stoicism, we are reminded that criticism, like all external events, is beyond our control. What is within our control is how we choose to respond. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, understood this well. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. When faced with unjust criticism, silence is not a sign of defeat. Rather, it's a sign of confidence, a deep, unwavering belief in your own values and actions. Why do we feel the need to defend ourselves when criticized? Often, it comes from a place of insecurity, a fear that others may misunderstand or misjudge us. But Stoicism teaches us to place our self-worth not in the opinions of others, but in our own inner compass. As Epictetus said, "If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, 'He was ignorant of my other faults, else he would not have mentioned these alone.'" This approach to criticism is not about passivity, it's about strength. When you choose silence in the face of unjust criticism, you demonstrate that your peace of mind is more important than someone else's opinion. You rise above the noise, focusing instead on what truly matters, your own growth, your own principles. Now, consider this. How often have you wasted energy trying to correct someone's misconception of you? Did it change their opinion, or did it leave you feeling even more drained? What if, next time, you simply accepted the criticism without response, trusting that your actions speak louder than your words? When we master the art of silence in the face of unjust criticism, we reclaim our power. We no longer allow external judgments to dictate our emotional state. Instead, we stay grounded in our own truth, knowing that true validation comes from within. Before we move on, remember that this journey into Stoicism is about more than just theory. It's about transformation. Each of these lessons, when applied, can lead to a profound shift in how you interact with the world. So, if you're finding these insights valuable, I encourage you to stay with me until the end of this video. There's much more to uncover as we dive deeper into the wisdom of silence. 4. Dealing with injustice, choosing silence over anger. Injustice can ignite a fire within us. When we witness or experience unfair treatment, our instinct is to react, often with anger, frustration, or a desire for retribution. But here's a question to consider. Does reacting with anger actually change the injustice, or does it merely fuel your inner turmoil? Does lashing out make the situation better, or does it rob you of your peace? In Stoicism, injustice is seen as one of life's inevitable challenges. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic emperor, faced immense political and personal adversities. Yet, he maintained his composure, constantly reminding himself that external events are beyond our control. The best revenge, Marcus Aurelius once said, is to be unlike him who performed the injustice. This means that reacting with anger only mirrors the very behavior you wish to rise above. So what should we do when we encounter injustice? The Stoics teach us to pause, reflect, and choose silence as an act of strength. Silence doesn't mean passive acceptance. It means that we choose not to waste our energy on emotional outbursts or destructive thoughts. Instead, we focus on what we can control, our own actions and responses. Anger is a powerful emotion, but it clouds judgment and leads to impulsive actions. Stoicism encourages us to replace anger with rational thought. As Seneca, another great Stoic philosopher, wisely noted, the greatest remedy for anger is delay. When we delay our response, we give ourselves the opportunity to reflect and to act with purpose rather than emotion. Consider a moment in your life when you felt wronged. How did you respond? Did your reaction bring you peace, or did it leave you feeling even more agitated? Imagine if, in that moment, you had chosen silence. Would that have preserved your energy, allowing you to think more clearly and respond more effectively? In the face of injustice, silence becomes a form of protest, a quiet declaration that you will not be consumed by negativity. You rise above the situation, choosing to act in accordance with your values rather than being dragged down by the actions of others. But this doesn't mean ignoring injustice, as Stoicism. So, the next time you encounter injustice, ask yourself, is reacting in anger worth sacrificing my peace of mind? Can I choose silence in the moment and respond with wisdom instead? Remember, silence is not a retreat, it's a strategic choice that gives you power over your emotions. As we move forward, we'll explore how the same principle of silence can guide us when confronted with something perhaps more personal, dealing with others who constantly seek external validation through boasting. 5. Boasting and external validation, silence as humility. We've all encountered someone who boasts about their achievements, constantly seeking praise and recognition from others. It's tempting to join the conversation, perhaps even subtly comparing your own successes to theirs. But what if, instead of engaging, you chose silence? What if you let them have the spotlight while you remained content in your own quiet achievements? In the practice of Stoicism, humility is a central virtue. The Stoics understood that true strength comes from within, and that external validation, whether in the form of praise or recognition, is fleeting and unreliable. As Epictetus reminds us, it is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. In this case, reacting to someone's boasting with silence reflects a deep understanding of where real worth comes from, your character, not your accomplishments. When others boast, they are often seeking external validation to fill an internal void. But as a Stoic, you understand that validation from others is unnecessary. Your value is inherent, and it is not tied to the praise or opinions of others. By choosing silence, you demonstrate that you don't need to participate in this game of comparison. You are grounded in your own worth, and your self-esteem doesn't fluctuate based on external recognition. Think about the last time you were in a conversation where someone was boasting. How did you feel? Did it stir a sense of competition within you? Did you feel the urge to outshine them with your own accomplishments? Now, imagine responding with silence instead. What might you have gained from holding back? Perhaps a sense of calm, of knowing that your worth isn't tied to their approval. Boasting often reflects insecurity and stoicism. This silent humility also gives you time for introspection. Are you seeking external validation in your own life? Are your actions driven by a desire to impress others, or are they aligned with your true values? The Stoic practice of self-reflection encourages us to focus on what truly matters, our integrity, our character, and our commitment to living virtuously. As you embrace silence in moments of boasting, you might also find that you're less affected by the need to compare yourself to others. In Stoicism, comparison is a trap that leads only to dissatisfaction. By stepping out of the game entirely, you free yourself from the endless cycle of competition and self-doubt. Before we continue, I encourage you to reflect on your own experiences. How often do you find yourself seeking validation from others? Have you ever felt the urge to boast or compete for recognition? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Sharing your experiences can spark meaningful discussion and help others on their Stoic journey. In the next section, we'll delve into how silence can guide us through an even deeper challenge, facing loss and grief with resilience and composure. 6. Facing loss. Silence as a path to resilience. Loss is an inevitable part of life, whether it's the death of a loved one, the end of a relationship, or even the loss of an opportunity. The pain of separation can feel overwhelming. In these moments, words often fail us, and the silence that follows can seem unbearable. But in the philosophy of Stoicism, silence during loss is not an absence of expression. It is a powerful tool for processing grief and building resilience. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once wrote, "The bravest sight in the world is to see a great man struggling against adversity." This is the essence of Stoicism in the face of loss, not to suppress our emotions, but to acknowledge them and transform them into a source of strength. Silence gives us the space to reflect on our grief, to feel the depth of our pain without being consumed by it. Think about how you've responded to loss in the past. Did you try to fill the silence with distractions or conversations that avoided the pain? What if, instead, you embraced the silence? Could it be that within this quiet, you would find the clarity to understand your grief, to accept it as part of life, and to move forward with greater resilience? Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control, our thoughts, our actions, and our responses to the challenges of life. Loss, while deeply painful, is outside of our control. We cannot change what has happened, but we can choose how we respond to it. Silence offers us the opportunity to reflect on this truth, to accept the reality of our situation without becoming overwhelmed by it. When we allow ourselves moments of quiet during times of loss, we create space for healing. It is in these silent moments that we can begin to realign our perspective, to remember that life, in its fullness, includes both joy and sorrow. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." This perspective on loss does not mean ignoring the pain or pretending it doesn't hurt. Stoicism doesn't ask us to be emotionless. It encourages us to face our emotions head-on, but with the understanding that they do not define us. The silence we choose in moments of grief is not about suppressing feelings. It's about creating room for reflection, for understanding that this pain is part of the human experience. Consider your own life. Have there been moments when you tried to avoid the silence of grief, fearing that it would overwhelm you? What if you embraced that silence instead, allowing yourself to sit with your feelings without judgment or distraction? Could this lead to a deeper understanding of your pain and ultimately to greater strength? As we continue to explore the power of silence in different aspects of life, remember that loss is not something to run from. It is something to acknowledge, to process, and ultimately to grow from. In the next section, we'll look at how Stoic silence can help when faced with ignorance, another common challenge in our everyday lives. 7. Encountering ignorance, silence as wisdom. Ignorance is a frustrating thing to encounter, isn't it? Whether it's in the workplace, on social media, or even in your personal relationships, dealing with someone who simply doesn't understand, or refuses to understand, can test your patience. The question is, how do you respond when confronted with ignorance? Do you argue, correct, or try to enlighten them? Or could there be a wiser path, one rooted in silence? Stoicism teaches that when faced with ignorance, silence is often the best response. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In the context of ignorance, this means not lowering yourself to the level of futile arguments. By choosing silence, you rise above the noise of misunderstanding and keep your focus on what truly matters, your own peace of mind. Have you ever found yourself in a debate, passionately trying to explain your point of view, only to realize that no matter what you say, the other person simply doesn't want to listen? It's exhausting, isn't it? Stoicism encourages us to ask ourselves, is this conversation worth my time and energy? Is there any value in continuing this argument, or would my silence speak louder than words? When we encounter ignorance, we often feel a strong urge to correct the other person, to make them see the truth as we understand it. But Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control the beliefs or understanding of others, only our own responses. By remaining silent, we conserve our energy and maintain our emotional equilibrium. We acknowledge that some battles are not worth fighting, and that wisdom often lies in knowing when to walk away. But this doesn't mean we ignore ignorance or pretend it doesn't exist. Instead, we choose a path of silent wisdom, understanding that not every situation requires our input. Silence, in this context, is an expression of self-control and emotional intelligence. It shows that you are not driven by the need to prove yourself right, but by a desire to maintain your peace. Think back to a recent encounter with ignorance. Did you find yourself frustrated, trying to explain something that seemed so clear to you, yet was completely missed by the other person? What if, instead of arguing, you had simply chosen silence? How would that have changed the dynamic? Could it have saved you frustration and preserved your energy for more meaningful pursuits? As Stoicism teaches, silence in the face of ignorance is not about surrendering or giving up. It's about choosing where to invest your energy. Your silence can speak volumes, showing that you are not swayed by the opinions of others, and that your peace of mind is more valuable than winning an argument. Before we continue, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever used silence as a tool when dealing with ignorance? How did it change the situation? Share your experiences in the comments below. I'm curious to know how others have applied this Stoic principle in their lives. Next, we'll explore how silence can help you manage one of the most destructive emotions of all, anger. Stay with me as we dive into how Stoicism guides us to turn anger into an opportunity for growth. 8. Dealing with anger. Silence as a gateway to control. Anger is one of the most powerful and destructive emotions we experience. It flares up suddenly, clouds our judgment, and drives us to act impulsively. But here's the question. How often, after an outburst of anger, do you look back and regret what you said or did in the heat of the moment? Wouldn't it be better if, instead of reacting with anger, you could pause and reflect, using silence as a tool to regain control? In the philosophy of Stoicism, anger is seen as an emotion that must be tamed. Seneca, one of the great Stoic thinkers, wrote extensively about the dangers of anger, warning that it can lead to irrational and harmful decisions. Anger does not listen to reason, he said, capturing the essence of this emotion's ability to cloud judgment. But how do we manage this intense feeling in the moment? Stoicism offers a powerful solution: silence. When anger arises, Stoicism teaches us to pause before responding. This pause is not just physical stillness, it's an opportunity to reflect, to let the intensity of the emotion pass before making a decision. In the silence, we regain our composure, allowing reason to take the reins instead of anger. This is not suppression, it's self-mastery. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. Think about the last time you were angry. Did your anger help resolve the situation, or did it make things worse? Now, imagine if, instead of reacting immediately, you had chosen silence. How would that have changed the outcome? Could your silence have given you the clarity needed to act with wisdom rather than emotion? Stoicism does not advocate for ignoring anger or pretending it doesn't exist. Instead, it teaches us to recognize anger as a natural emotion, but one that must be controlled. By choosing silence in moments of anger, you create the space needed to reflect on the situation rationally. This pause helps you assess whether your anger is justified and whether acting on it will lead to a productive outcome. Consider this. Anger often arises because we feel that something or someone has violated our sense of justice. But Stoicism reminds us that external events are beyond our control. It's only our reactions that we can govern. So, when faced with a situation that stirs your anger, ask yourself, is my reaction going to improve the situation, or will it only escalate the conflict? Silence gives you the time to answer that question thoughtfully. The next time you feel the surge of anger rising within you, try this. Instead of speaking or acting in the moment, remain silent. Take a breath, allow the intensity of the emotion to subside, and reflect on how best to respond. You might find that, by choosing silence, you not only preserve your peace, but also approach the situation with greater clarity and effectiveness. Now that we've explored how silence can be a powerful tool for managing anger, let's turn our attention to another common challenge: the harmful impact of rumors. In the next section, we'll look at how Stoicism advises us to handle rumors with dignity and restraint. 9. Reacting to rumors. Silence as a display of dignity. Rumors are like a storm, swirling around and pulling people into a cycle of gossip and misinformation. When you're the subject of a rumor, it's tempting to rush in and set the record straight, to defend your name and clear up the falsehoods. But here's a question. Does engaging with rumors actually stop them, or does it just give them more power? In Stoicism, there is great wisdom in choosing silence in the face of rumors. When others speak ill of you or spread falsehoods, reacting only draws more attention to the rumor. By remaining silent, you deny the rumor the energy it needs to grow. Cato the Younger, a renowned Stoic philosopher and statesman, often faced rumors and criticism due to his unwavering principles. Yet he chose to remain silent, allowing his actions to speak for themselves. His silence was not a sign of weakness, but a demonstration of his inner strength and self-assurance. Think about it. How often do rumors fizzle out when they are ignored? Rumors thrive on reaction. The more you engage, the more attention they receive. But when met with silence, they lose their momentum. In choosing not to respond, you show that your dignity is not dependent on what others say about you. Now consider your own life. Have you ever been the subject of a rumor or false gossip? How did you react? Did your response resolve the situation, or did it keep the gossip alive? What if instead you had chosen silence? How would that have changed the narrative? Stoicism teaches that our worth is not tied to the opinions of others. We are responsible only for our own actions and reactions, not for how others perceive or talk about us. By maintaining silence, you demonstrate that you are not controlled by external noise. You remain focused on what truly matters: your values, your character, and your peace of mind. This does not mean that you passively accept falsehoods or allow your reputation to be damaged without any defense. Instead, it means choosing your battles wisely. Stoicism advises us to act only when it is necessary and productive, and often, silence is the most dignified and powerful response. It shows that you are confident enough in who you are that you don't need to defend yourself against baseless rumors. As we conclude this exploration of silence, reflect on how these 9 situations apply to your own life. Where can you practice silence as a tool for self-mastery, dignity, and resilience? And how can the philosophy of Stoicism continue to guide you in your daily interactions? Throughout this journey, we've explored 9 pivotal situations where silence, as guided by Stoicism, can be a transformative tool. Whether facing insults, dealing with gossip, managing anger, or responding to rumors, the choice to remain silent often reflects a deeper wisdom and strength. Silence is not about passivity, it's about mastering the art of self-control, focusing on what truly matters, and letting go of what you cannot control. Now I encourage you to reflect on your own life. How can you apply these Stoic principles of silence in your daily interactions? What challenges have you faced where silence might have been the wiser path? If you found value in this discussion, I invite you to leave a comment below. Share your thoughts and experiences with silence. How has it shaped your responses in difficult situations? Your insights could help others on their own Stoic journey. And finally, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. By doing so, you're helping to spread the wisdom of Stoicism to others who may benefit from its teachings. Together, we can build a community dedicated to cultivating inner peace, resilience, and wisdom. Thank you for being part of this journey into the art of silence. May your life be enriched with the strength and tranquility that comes from practicing these Stoic principles. Until next time, embrace the power of silence and let it guide you toward a life of fulfillment and peace.